Why do you think Sanguine hit Stockyard? The dealer asked softly. Huh? I blinked as I looked back at him. Because he's a murderous asshole? Think about it for a second. He attacks Megamart. Why? I frowned. To draw me out. But why Megamart? Why not, say, Toll? Or Flotsam? He asked calmly. They're closer to him. Instead, he went all the way over to Megamart. Why? I sighed and set aside my contemplation of buttonness. Probably because they helped me? But how would he know that? He asked softly. And after that, he hit the clinic. And then, Stockyard. Why Stockyard? They never helped you. Then, they burned the academy. There's not even any pony there, but he burned it. Why? I frowned as I rubbed at my nose. Because that was the next place I visited? And then here. The blood drained from my face. But how would he know where I've been? I mean, Then I blinked as my eyes locked with his. He'd need my Pip-Buck navigation information. Which was copied to Marmalade's Pip-Buck, he murmured softly. Which I gave to him. I looked back towards the chamber. He told Dusty he was going to flank. Then count yourself lucky. He's following the road rather than going strictly in order. The dealer didn't take his eyes off mine as he asked. But where's he going when he's done in flank? I smashed the button and heard an electric fizzle. Then, immediately, turned and raced for the exit. I hit the door out with all four hooves and rolled out as it flew open, screaming to my friends to run. 15 minutes, Blackjack! I said 15 minutes! P-21 yelled crossly as he came out of the bunkhouse. He's going to chapel, P-21. After flank, he's going to chapel. The blue buck shut up immediately, and all six of us ran off through the rain, away from the mine. Moments later, the muddy ground thundered under our hooves as the charges blew off. We were outside the fence when the administration building blew apart in a cloud of wood and reinforced sheets. The flipping ends didn't even reach the ground before the bunkhouse blew as well. There was a rumble beneath our hooves, and a massive gust of wind as the chamber below collapsed. I watched as pits opened in the earth where we'd been standing. I hadn't anticipated just how big that chamber had been, until I saw the wide depression before me.
What is Pony thinking? Pony runs out and blows everything up,
Rover snorted.
Why does everything explode around Pony?
Listen, Rover. You need to get to Riverside, and your people. Sanguine's hitting every place I've stopped since leaving 99. We might have caught a break with Chapel, but if we didn't, I didn't want to think that far ahead. Instead, I pulled the harness on. Come on, I grunted as I pulled, but the wheels of the hoof car squealed as they locked up entirely.
The bearings are burned out, Scotch said. We'll have to replace them, and I don't think we can go get parts, and I know we're out of grease. Even if we had this stuff, it'd take hours.
I gave the car a kick. Of all the times to break down.
Dog will return to den, and send warning to the river ponies. River ponies whine, but have good fish,
Rover said as he scratched behind his ear. Will you be able to make it safely? Glory asked in concern. Rover snorted and lifted his robotic hand, showing the razor claws.
Is good far more than digging rock, Pony. Old dog know many tricks. Dog be fine. Ponies take care of ponies. Is what ponies good at,
he said, but for the first time there wasn't the usual bitterness in his voice.
Ponies stay safe.
We can just hoof it straight to Chapel, Scotch Tape piped up. It would take a day, and we'd be crossing unexplored territory, P-21 countered. Rampage nodded. There's the Half-Heart's headquarters in this area, and a scratched sky wagon. That's a feral ghoul nest. We can follow the rail and cut over to Chapel, but that's even further. So, same problem if we hoof it over to Flank. Maybe Lacuna can go to Marimar, soak up some radiation, and teleport us all there? Glory asked. It would take many hours, Lacuna replied, the frustration clear in her thoughts.
What if Blackjack went alone? She can move faster now, and she doesn't get tired, and with these legs of hers.
Scotch offered as she wrapped her hoof on my enameled foreleg. That'd leave her outnumbered by a lot, Rampage said with a frown. Personally, that's fine for me, but I can't die. Blackjack doesn't have that advantage. Glory was looking in the direction of the strip mall. Blackjack? When we first came by here, we set a bunch of supplies and stuff on fire. Remember? Yeah, I replied. It was a little bit fuzzy. I was pretty sure there'd been some buck lobbing dynamite at me or something. Well, that was a lot of supplies. I doubt they carried all of it on their backs from flank. The Great Pegasus pointed out. You think they might have had a working wagon? I asked. She flushed and nodded. I seized her in my hooves and kissed her hard enough to curl her hooves. I love smart ponies. Let's go! We started towards the nearby strip mall, and I blinked back at Glory, still sitting there in a daze. Hey! Glory! She shook her head hard, losing her befuddled smile and catching up to me. For once, I was glad for the Hoofington rain. It was pouring down in full force by the time we reached the strip mall, and the bloody gore coating me had more or less washed off. For a minute, I was afraid we'd struck out and be left trying to run all the way to Chapel. Then Rampage checked behind the strip mall and found a wagon that was only marginally rusted. One tire was flat, and one axle squealed when Rampage pulled it out, but Scotch just rubbed her hooves together. I'm going to need Lacuna to levitate it up. Gonna need some wonder glue, some turpentine, a hunk of inner tube, and some grease. Any grease or oil you can get your hooves on. With that, she got out her wrench, and we were scrambling. Fortunately, P-21 found an oil can in the back of the bar, and Glory found the inner tube and helped Scotch work. And me? I put 4 bits into the jukebox, selected a song, and kicked the side of the machine with my hoof. The lights flickered, and then the machine gave a dry hum. I dug behind the bar, and, hidden behind a dozen glasses, I found a flask of Wild Pegasus. I trotted up to the table, dusty and I'd sat at so long ago, and practiced with my fingers, setting up the 2 least grimy shot glasses I could find. The machine clicked and the music began to play. Out of habit, I started to record as I sat back and looked at all the cards scattered around the table. I chewed through another mouthful of gems, then looked at one of the face-down cards on the table in front of me and stared. I tried to imagine the magic reaching out. Tried to imagine it like a wind brushing against it, the book had said. Like blowing on it without using your lungs. I closed my eyes, trying to focus even though my temples throbbed and my useless stub of a horn ached. I tried imagining blowing the card over. I felt the faintest magic buzz and tingle in my horn. Then I chanced to look down. Queen of Spades, Princess Luna, smiling up at me. It wasn't much at all, but it was a start. I leaned back, extended my fingers, and picked up the shot glass as the song came to an end. I lifted my glass to the empty chair across from me. Who was I lifting it to? Dusty Trails? Sure. But I was also raising it to Rivets and Midnight, to those ponies in Stockyard killed simply because of a blip on my pip-buck. In a perverse way, I was lifting it to Deus as well, one monster to another, in a silent pledge. Sanguine had been around for way too long. It was time to finish the bastard. The jukebox crackled and finally died. I rose to my hooves and trotted out the door. My friends looked at me, and I must have been wearing the most damned shootiest look that I'd ever worn by a mare because they didn't say a word. Scotch and Luna hitched me up to the wagon. I took the bit in my mouth and glanced back to make sure every pony was aboard. Glory climbed up onto the seat at the front of the wagon and took my reins. I looked back at her and grinned. Giddy up? She asked, giving them a little shake. No, Glory. Not giddy up. Ante up. I wasn't the strongest pony in the wasteland, but as I leaned into the harness between the covered wagon's shafts, I felt an unfamiliar but welcome orange pony pulling right alongside me. "Be strong," she told me. And right beside her was a blue Pegasus telling me that I was going to pull it off, and that it was going to be so awesome. With those two pulling alongside me, I couldn't just run. I could practically fly. With an eep from my pilot, my 4 mechanical legs lunged forward, and we raced down towards the east. Sanguine wanted to find me. He'd found a perfect way. "I'm coming, Sanguine. And I'm bringing a whole lot of hurt with me."